Hello, once again, audience, and welcome back to DomiNations with Christopher. I wanted to go over with you the actual thought process that I kind of walk through when I decide how to attack a base. So as an example, I've got number 2 from our current war in Treefort, which I thought was a bit of a modest base. It's a 138 industrial, kind of middle of the road, and I think it is an available option for even an enlightened player to attack this base, given on the level of the mortars. So to start it right off, now that we know who that is, let's stick this on the bottom because we're going to go through, I think, quite a lot. Yeah, there we go. So that is the first thing that I look at. I look at the positioning of the mortars and the level of the mortars. The level of the mortars is important because you want to know if you're going to get one-shotted and die. So obviously the level up here is important. Isn't that great? The level up there is important to note that there are 138. That's the overall XP level. It's a general indication. There is correlation between the XP level and the defensive and offensive and overall base level. So, a few things that I note in regard to mortars. Obviously, when they're very low level, I don't really pay attention to them. With the ones that are, these are enlightened age mortars. How you determine that? Are we able to zoom in there? You can see that the base on this thing, on this mortar here, you can see that the base has actually got these little dimples that are protruding out, indicating that it is one above an actual gunpowder. The gunpowder ones don't have that big fat base, and that is how you isolate or determine between, I guess, 4 of the levels. If they look like this, and they've got the big fat base, then they're enlightened. If they look like the big scary ones, then they're probably industrial, and one above that, where they've got the big shells, and again, the base is a lot fatter, then you know that it's actually a global aged mortar. So, one of the other things that I like to make note of when I look at the mortars is where they are situated. So your attack location where you go in should not... It's either one of 2 ways. You either have to sabotage and kill both of those mortars right off, or alternately, you only want to take one on at a time. And you need to actually pick a specific drop point to allow your heavy tanks or your heavies to take the majority of the damage from that and then knock it out fairly quickly before it has too much of a chance to fire on your troops. So, I note the range as well, and if you've watched the live stream, then you've probably noted this, that I usually count, and you can count, the mortar range is 8. I know that this building is 3, so that'll be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that this mortar here has a range in a circle all the way around there, and then it's kind of looks like that, right? So that should help you to actually determine where you need to attack. And the primary goal of scouting and of war, obviously, is to get that quick victory for the 5 stars, obviously. General levels. So on this base in particular, I note that these are 2 little level 10 generals. Nothing too bad. So if they do pop out, I'm not extremely concerned, or wouldn't be extremely concerned. Wonders. I usually go and take a look at wonders. You can kill a quick victory if you find that you don't pay attention and somebody has a forbidden city hiding in a corner somewhere. The other wonders that you need to make a note of, this is the Acropolis. When possible, I attack at or around the Acropolis, and it's not the Acropolis boosts the troop production of nearby stables and garrisons, and I think it does play into effect things like your command post. It's got a fairly large radius. Destroying this will not affect how fast these things produce units. It is one of 2 wonders that is in effect even after it is destroyed. So, And of course, there's much debate, and there's obviously evidential videos on that. But the purpose in attacking toward the Acropolis, or taking it out first, isn't because you want to kill the Acropolis. It's because you want to kill everything that is actually in the range or effect of the Acropolis. So if you go at the Acropolis, obviously you're going to kill a lot of these things. So that's important to note. The other one that does stand even after it has been destroyed is your Versailles. I like the Versailles. So Versailles will do a 40% decrease to your troops' movement speed. So it's detrimental if you get caught in the vicinity. It's got a very low, very small activation range or effect range. I believe it's only 3 or 4. So it means that it only has an effect that looks something like that. Meaning that if you attacked from up here and you rallied right here, your troops would be doing 40% less damage based on that it's a 40% reduction in speed. So moving forward from there, that's kind of the initial scout and what goes through my head, and as well an overall viewpoint of what level everything else is. So I mean, I see that he's got some upgraded, at least one upgraded archer tower. His garrisons as well, or sorry, his redoubt towers, I should say. That's a level 2 redoubt tower. Whoa, hi. That's a level 2 redoubt tower. What's going on? Why will you not let me zoom in anymore? Okay. So, you can tell again because of the base on this redoubt tower that it's a level 2. The level 1s are very skinny. The level 2s have a much fatter base, which is these columns coming down here. And then the level 3 obviously turns into a machine gunner, which are quite scary and look a lot different. So there's an easy determination. Entrance point. Where do you want to come in? Obviously, bearing in mind, you don't want to be caught up by Versailles. You obviously want to avoid traps, and you need to pick that first rally point in order to actually get in there and kill that town center. So that's your goal, is to kill the town center and to sabotage the town center alongside something else that might be scary. A few notes on your drops. I do not like dropping on the corners. It's a surefire way to ensure that your troops are actually going to split. Thus mean that your heavies are going to go one way and your artillery the other way and your foot soldiers the other way, and then your artillery are dead and you're going to end up dead. So I like to pick a spot that allows me to attack on the face of the walls. So on this base, it's fairly easy to look at. Timing. It does take your troops time to actually burn through these buildings. So going through, several rows of buildings takes a whole lot more time than it does to go straight in. And these are useless buildings, right? You're just effectively wasting that precious first minute of the battle in order to get that quick victory. Trap placement. Any sort of an open space I find is scary. So something like this would tell me that there is potential to have traps all along here. This back is very safe because it is right against the forest wall. That's why people are always making the suggestion that you clear your forest or keep your base away from the edge. Because it's a safe point. I can drop all my troops anywhere in there, and I know that I'm going to have the ability to drop without being on any sort of a trap or spike trap, caltrop, anything like that. Now, on this given base, my choice would be to drop right out here. What would my drop order be? Well, I guess why choose this point? Well, there's a face here that I can attack. I feel that the distance is close enough to the town center that I can actually make it through here. Second to that, I believe there's a safe rally point. Picking your rally point is a little bit tricky at times. That first rally point, you want to be underneath one of the fallen buildings. And a good spot to rally would be somewhere in here. Yes, there's a spot for caltrops or anything here on this road. However, if you keep your troops out here, you're in range of the town center. You're out of range of Versailles. And you're able to take out a few of these buildings. These buildings. And quite likely, these ones as well. And it's close enough to the Acropolis that you'll be able to move in there and take it out. So, from there, we take it to be a D for a drop point. And my drop order at this point, I would take into consideration. Being that this is a high hit point building, I like the ability to get all of my troops in place and allow myself a little bit of time or breathing room between the drop and having to actually do a sabotage. So this is a nice one because it's far enough out that I could go with my shooters first, my artillery second, donated troops and mercs, and then my heavies. And it would ensure that this would fall, and by the time... That looks like a smiley face. By the time this fell and these were destroyed, this mortar might be firing on my heavies, which is okay. Allowing you enough time that you can actually get to your sabotage. And you want to drop your first sabotage not on the town center. I don't pick the town center to sabotage first. Rarely do I do that. So, with that being said, and this is how I do any of my layouts, is drop 1, sabotage 2, and then the rally location, like I said, it's got to be within 5 because you do want to actually take out the town center. The reason I say 5 is because everybody has artillery, and artillery has a range of 5. So, your first rally point, I think, should be right there. Now, immediately thereafter, you're going to want to sabotage that town center in order to allow yourself the time that you need to destroy it. Hi. And the 2-year-old has come to say hello and maybe eat a little bit more of his breakfast. Snacky, snacky boy. My second sabotage I would be running would be right there. We'll call that S3. Now, the other thing that you need to note, I do throw a lot of these pictures up on Treefort in order to assist people with how I would attack a base. But one thing, there's a disclaimer here. You need to actually watch the activation range of the town center. Thus to mean that this rally that is right there, and this sabotage that is right here may need to be reversed. They are interchangeable. If you guys find that you drop and you do your first sabotage and your guys are already through this wall, then obviously you don't want to rally and then try and sabotage because it's too late. The activation range of your town center is immediate, meaning that as soon as you're in range, there is no spawn time. That little bar that shows up above the town center and it gets full doesn't play into effect with donated troops. As soon as you are in that 6 range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as soon as your troops hit here, right there, the howitzers or any donated troops that are in here are going to immediately pop out and snipe your troops. So, to make it look nice and clean, let's draw it out again. So we got a D for a drop point. That's a 1. We got an S for a sabotage, which is step 2. And I would almost say step 3, given how close that actually is to the edge, would be a sabotage, another sabotage. And your sabotage, I think, would be there. That would be S3. And by that point, and there's a lot of timing involved here, you should be able to do your rally under the fallen building, which is going to be R4. So there you go. Drop point 1, sabotage, X marks the spot. 2, sabotage 3, and obviously there's going to be a little bit of latency between 2 and 3. So it's going to be drop 1, sabotage 2, and then there's going to be a pause, obviously, until this building has fallen, because you want to do those, they need to coincide or be as close together as you can get them. So it's going to be sabotage 3 and rally, and it's going to be a point rally underneath the building. So, drop 1, sabotage 2, sabotage 3, and rally 4. And there you have it. I hope you found this helpful. And that is my mindset on these things. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, keep your sticks on the ice and have a good time. I don't want to cast. Ending these videos with the correct timing is always hard. Desmond, say bye-bye.